I'm Simon and welcome to my little corner of the internet. Now in today's video I've got a mod that I want to try for the BBC Micro, and as far as I can tell no one has done this before.
That's a bold statement.
If it isn't, feel free to roast me in the comments because I can't find anybody else having done it, so there you go. So before we jump into it, I would just like to give a quick thank you to the sponsor of this video, PCB Way. As their name suggests, they do PCBs from as little as $5 with super fast shipping. Not only that, if you don't want to make the board up yourself, you can also have them populate it for you. Not only that, they also do 3D printing, like for this case they made up for me for my Spectrum expansion card. And if you need CNC machining, they also do that too. And if you're a tinkerer like me and you need some inspiration, then do check out their project pages. There's something there for everyone. There's a link in the description, and thank you again, PCB Way, for making videos like this possible. If you're fortunate like I am, and you own a working BBC, or indeed own a number of them, then the chances are you are going to want to load software onto them. And for that there are a number of solutions. For those that have a love of original media, I've got a 5¼ inch floppy drive in great working order. The downside to that, of course, is that software on disk is harder to come by and the media isn't always as reliable as perhaps would like it to be. I've certainly had problems with old floppy disks. Beneath that then, I've got my GoTech, which I've mounted in a floppy drive case. The floppy drive had died and was beyond fixing. So I've mounted that in there to give that original sort of feel to it, even though there's nothing original about the GoTech drive itself. And if you're not familiar with them, it's on that little USB stick there that's just plugged in the front. I've got every bit of software you could possibly imagine for the BBC. The BBC just sees the GoTech as another floppy drive. It doesn't know any different. So that removes the problem of original media issues. And you've also got cool stuff like this, which is a little SD card solution. Once again, tiny little card holding every game you could possibly ever think of for the BBC. The downside to this though is it takes up a port underneath the machine. I think it's the user port that this goes in. So if you need the port for anything else like the mouse or whatever else you might want to connect up to the BBC, then you can't have both connected obviously at the same time. So that's something to perhaps think about there. So if you're not bothered about using the discs and you want to go proper old school and use tape, well, that comes at a price from my experience. And whilst the collection on tape is much more abundant, just about everything I think came out on tape, finding them isn't the issue. Getting working tapes will be the problem. And I know that from experience, whether it's for the BBC, the Spectrum, or whatever. And you're going to have to get yourself a tape player like this one here. And this is one that I've tried and tried again to try and fix. I haven't given up on it, and I'll probably come back to it again at some point. But for whatever reason, I can't get it working. There's just no... it's just like the heads aren't picking up. Whatever. And of course, you end up with more leads and stuff floating around on your desk. There's a power lead. Look at that. All that extra clutter. What if we could go with the originality of tape, but without tape? i.e. have the same loading experience, but not have to worry about any of this. Well, this, my friends, is the reason for the video, because I've been thinking. Now, if you watched any of my previous videos, you're probably aware that I'm a huge fan of original media. And accepting the problems that come with that, I still want that original loading experience as much as possible. Now, you may have seen I stuck a Bluetooth module in this Spectrum Plus, and I've used that to load software via my phone. So that got me thinking, what if I could do something similar with the BBC? Now, checking online, one of the problems that I came across is, certainly from what I found, and correct me if I'm wrong, but most of the BBC software is in a UEF format, which seems to be something which allows the software to be loaded into emulators. Correct me again if I'm wrong on that, because I don't bother with the emulators. And the problem with that is it's a digital version of an audio file. But for the Bluetooth to work, I need audio. I need that UEF in an audio format. That got me a bit stuck. But then I found a website which transforms the UEF files into audio. So with that, I thought maybe Bluetooth is an option, and maybe I could connect up a Bluetooth module to the BBC. But from looking online, I couldn't find anybody else who had done it, and I didn't know how to do it. So this is really about having a mess around and seeing if I can get it to work. So then I'll be able to load games straight off my phone over Bluetooth into the BBC, no messing around with the original media, but still get that original loading experience. So let's see if I can work out what the heck I'm doing and see if I can get it to work. So before I start getting involved ripping the BBC apart, this is the website I've come across which converts the UEF files into audio. And I'll just pick one, for example, whatever, Games Compendium. So there it is, loaded, well, ready to start playing. This is 27 minutes long. Most BBC games are like 3, 4, 5 minutes long, depending on the size of them. But quite simply, you get the idea with the noise. It converts it from UEF format into audio. And I'll connect my laptop up to the BBC just to confirm that it's doing what I think it is and is actually working. First thing to do then is get this bad boy open, which isn't too bad. A couple of screws on the back. Now, looking inside the BBC, first thing I need to think about is powering the Bluetooth device. And for that, I'm going to need 5 volts. But very fortunately for me, and doing this, is this should be, these red wires here should all be 5 volts. And I'll just show you that now. I've got the BBC powered on, so I am going to be relatively careful. But if you can see that, And I'll just put the positive in there, just touch it somewhere to earth. And we can see we've got exactly 5 volts. So that's good. So that's the power potentially sorted on one of those. Just turn the beep off now. Move that out of the way. I'll just put that one back on before I start forgetting things. And the cassette port is this one here. Now, as we can see, access is a bit tricky at the back there, but one of those legs potentially is, well, one of those legs is going to be the signal wire, isn't it? Which one though? I don't know. Now I may have to take this board out. Shall I take the board out? Yeah, let's take the board out because it's going to make life easier, isn't it? So my thoughts are, I'm going to worry about the 5 volt supply later because that should be relatively straightforward. I'm more concerned with the signal supply. So that's the cassette connector there. And if we follow it over, it's that there. Can we still see? Yes, I think so. So what I was thinking is, I don't know which is which on here. And I don't know, realistically, if I can just send the Bluetooth signal to this as if it's an input. But I don't see why I can't. But I've no idea which is which. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to plug the cassette lead in. And I'm just going to do a continuity test to see which one should have a signal and an earth. So if I plug this in, I can work out which way around it goes. I think it's that. It is. So if I put a wire, let me just move this over slightly. You get a better view. So if I put this to continuity, this is my thoughts anyway, and I use the ear lead, and we can find out which is earth. If I hold that on there, then touch onto these here, right, so that's earth. That's an earth as well. Right, now for the signal, it's not that, it's that. I'll just check the other ones. So the signal comes on this pin here. And those two are joined together. Back on the mat, I've just soldered some wires, some power, and a signal and earth for the audio part. I don't know if I'll actually need the earth, I'm going to put it on anyway. My thinking is, won't it be earthed through the normal earth anyway? I don't know, but I'll put it on anyway. And the wires are quite long, just because this is. I just want to see if it works. If nothing else, to begin with, then I'll worry about the rest of it. And I'll put the soldering iron back on. I'll get that warming up, and I just can't remember which wire was which. So let's just double check. Let's do the signal wire first. I think it was that one. It is. So let's bob the signal wire on. So the signal wire is the yellow one. Now, for the power, how am I going to do the power? I could just trap it for now, couldn't I? I could just trap it in there just to see if it works. Just make these a bit longer. That would work, wouldn't it? And just trap it on. So let's get the beeb and let's just rest it in. Let's get the beeb. Put those wires around there for now. Bottom first. So that's the beeb in. You know what I've done? I've soldered the wrong earth on. I've soldered the power earth. Right, let's sort that out. Oh dear. So all I'm thinking here is I'll just put it in and wedge it, just for the time being, because I think I'll get a half decent connection. Fingers crossed. Is that grabbing? If I get it in the corner. All I want to do is just see if I can get some power. It's not grabbing it. I could put it through and then do it like that. Will that work? Yeah, I think so. I think that's working. And I'll do the same with the earth. Just poke it through the hole. And then squash it down with that. Hopefully that's not touching on anything. No, it'd have been fine. I think. Has it chopped the end off? It's chopped the end of the wire off, hasn't it? Right. Well, I think that's got it. Now the question is, let's connect up the rest of it. Right, so that's got power. So that Bluetooth module is on. Now, is there any signal coming from it? Right, let's plug the keyboard in. I'm not necessarily very hopeful. Well, apologies for the poor audio and video. The reason for that is I can't use my Bluetooth mic because I'm going to be sending the audio via Bluetooth from the phone that I used to record, and so I just borrowed my daughter's phone, of all things, to try and do this. But excuse me, but it's working and I want to show you. So star tape chain, and if I press play now, there we go. I was more excited than this when it first worked, believe you me. I'll just show you this loading. I was going to do this off camera and I thought, I'm probably going to think I'm cheating or something. There we go. Off my phone via Bluetooth. How awesome is that? So I had to think, and I think the best place to put it, I've turned the power off so I'm not shutting anything out in the back, but I think the best thing to do is, it's not going to get in the way there, is it? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a bit of double-sided tape. Perfect. Right, now about the wires. Right, let's see if we can get a decent blob of solder on here. Right, I think we've got enough. Well, that's the BBC put back together. The only thing I've got to do now is show you it working, and for which I've got my laptop set up with Bluetooth rather than messing around with different phones and stuff. Hope you like this. If you did, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more of this, a subscribe would be more than appreciated. But in the meantime, I'll let the BBC play us out, and thank you for watching and hope to see you again soon.